Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for the Sunday morning session on Science of Self-Realization. Let's begin our session with prayers to Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki jai. Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today we're going to conclude on the topic of knowing the purpose of life, which we have been discussing since last two sessions. This topic is actually a talk given by Prabhupada in London in 1969. It's a very wonderful talk explaining about the real identity of who we are actually. Are we this body or are we something else? Right? So today we're going to conclude this session with the final teachings what Prabhupada gives in this specific topic. So this is the topic which we have been discussing, knowing the purpose of life, part 3, and all these discussions are happening by the mercy, grace of Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of the worldwide Hare Krishna movement, also known as Iskcon. It's only by his great mercy that we are able to understand the intricacies of Vedic wisdom. Otherwise, on our own, to figure out what is the purpose of life, what is the meaning of life, is next to impossibility. So we owe a great sense of gratitude to Prabhupada. With this, let's move forward with our discussions. In the previous two sessions we had, we discussed, briefly we'll try to recapitulate on what we discussed. We discussed on what is meditation. Prabhupada says, meditation means knowing who you are actually and understanding our relationship with God and trying to work on that relationship. That is called meditation. And in the modern day setup, we see, because people are unaware of the realization or the understanding of who they are, what is the relationship with God, they claim that God is dead or there is no God. I don't have any connection with God. But with little common sense, we can see that God's energies are working so wonderfully, so perfectly, and so swiftly. Prabhupada gives different examples. If you see any creation around us with regard to nice flower, blooming flower, which is having so wonderful colors in it, wonderful texture of the petals, and so symmetrically, and the whole flower is nicely made. Or it may be even a butterfly, how both the wings are so symmetrically, as though it is painted. Right? So like this, in the manifestations or the creations around us, we're seeing God's energies working so wonderfully, right? As though it is automatically happening. So the next question comes is, why are we ignorant about God now? It is because our heart is now covered with so many impurities. We are covered with a lot of ignorance, a lot of dust. That's the reason we are ignorant about God as of now. So Prabhupada says all the different spiritual paths across the different religious followings are meant to cleanse our heart. right? There are different processes of doing good activities, or which is called as pious activities, called good karma. This also can cleanse your heart, wherein you come to the point of realization of God. And there are processes of jnana. One is karma, next is jnana, wherein you try to analyze the world with great detail of what is this world around me, who am I, why am I here, why am I suffering, such questions, and trying to read a lot of books of wisdom, and finally coming to the point of conclusion, which is not easy for everybody in this present age. And even the aspect of performing good work or good karma also is not easy for everybody. Why? Because the atmosphere is surcharged with so much of hypocrisy and quarrel, which is the quality of the age of Kali Yuga, Iron Age. Not easy for people to perform good work. Even though you want to do good work, you're forced to commit something which is abominable, right? So karma, good karma is not possible. Jnana process is not practical. And coming to the point of yoga, wherein you perform some specific processes to cleanse your heart, to purify your existence, also is not practical. There's a lot of recommendations in the scriptures. Bhagavad Gita is that to follow this is not very easy for everybody, common man. The easiest process, which is recommended in the scriptures and all the Vedic understanding, especially all the other parts of religion, is the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. And this chanting Hare Krishna is the easiest and best process. And Prabhupada said, why we have to chant Hare Krishna? Because we are in the middle of a forest fire. This material world is compared to a forest fire. Forest fire happens without anybody's intervention in the forest. And all the living entities are in great distress, great pain. Right? Everything is burning. And no human intervention can relieve you from this suffering. Any number of fire brigades coming and extinguishing that fire is next to impossibility. So the only way to come out of this pain, the terrible experience of suffering we are going through in the material world, which is compared to a forest fire, is to surrender to Krishna. This is what Krishna recommends in Bhagavad Gita. Mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So Prabhupada compares the modern civilization and the modern godless civilization to be diseased condition. Just like during jaundice, you can't taste, rather you're having severe problem with your liver functioning, because of which anything sweet is tasting bitter for you. So actually, the process of self-realization or meditation called the chanting of the holy names of Lord Krishna is very sweet. But because we are afflicted with a jaundice in the present situation of godlessness, we are not able to experience that sweetness. But the only remedy for jaundice is what? To keep taking sugar candy. Initially, it will taste bitter, but as the disease is slowly getting cured, then that same bitterness will go and you start tasting sweet. So likewise, for the jaundice-like situation of ours, the best way is to keep chanting the holy names, and that will purify us and gradually will taste the sweetness of the holy name. So what is our present problem? Our present problem is because of our identity crisis. Means actually who we are. We are misidentifying ourselves with our body. And identifying ourselves as body and everybody around us as different bodies, and we are only meant for enjoying our senses. That's what we are thinking. This is our misunderstanding, wrong understanding. So to come out of this wrong understanding, so this whole problem of being in the midst of the forest fire and suffering and everything, is the root problem is this wrong identification with ourselves. We are identifying ourselves with this body, but actually we are spirit soul. Our real identity is, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, we are part and parcel of Krishna, which means we are constitutionally connected to Krishna and we are eternally servants of Krishna. And in fact, this is obviously seen in the arrangements which Krishna has made, right, around us, Lord has made. God is maintaining and caring for every living entity. Even in our case, if you see, the food, what we get, is not manufactured in factories. The air we breathe, and the sunlight, advantage of sunlight we take, is all not manufactured. They're all God-given. So this is the point. So we have to understand, realize that the arrangement which Lord Krishna has made for us is for our benefit. So with this, let's move forward with our today's discussions. So Prabhupada says, when you start realizing, understanding the arrangements which God has made for our maintenance, sustenance, and our well-being, Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions about 4 kinds of people who come to Krishna. So the process of acknowledging that God is supplying is better than thinking God is dead. Why should we go to church and pray to God for bread? So this type of a understanding that God is dead, why should we go to church or why should we go to temple for praying? Prabhupada said these are all the insane understanding of a person who is haunted by a ghost. When a person is haunted by a ghost, he speaks all nonsense. So likewise, people who are not sane, not in sane condition, they speak such things, such statements. But the fact is that, in fact, without God's mercy, without Krishna's mercy, we cannot even live for a moment. That's the point. So such illogical, insane statements should be given up. Acknowledge that there is a supplier, there's a maintainer for us. This is a better way of understanding, or a better way of human understanding. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, 4 kinds of people come to Krishna: the distressed, those who are in need of money, the wise, and the inquisitive. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, there are 4 kinds of people. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukruti Arjuna. Sukruti means those who are pious, those who have done good religious activities. There are 4 kinds. One is called distressed, or in trouble, who are in need of money actually, and who are wise and inquisitive. One who is inquisitive, one who is wise, and one who is distressed, and one who is in need of money, these 4 classes of men approach God. My dear God, I am very hungry. Give me my daily bread. That's nice. At least there's a sense of acknowledgement that there is God and God is supplying our necessities. This sense of acknowledgement at least is the beginning of human life. In fact, the teachings of Srila Prabhupada from Vedic instructions is very clear. One who don't even have such understanding that God is maintaining us, God is supplying us our necessities, is actually leading an animal life. Animal life means a life of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. That's all. Whereas human life is, yes, we do also have these basic necessities of life, but beyond this, we also try to understand about the purpose of life, the meaning of life. What is that I'm supposed to be doing in the human form? So those who approach God in this way, Lord Krishna says, they are sukridina, which means they are pious. Sukriti means pious. They are pious. Although they are asking for money, for food, they are considered pious because they are approaching God. So we're discussing on the point of how our hearts are right now covered by ignorance, covered by misunderstanding of who we are actually. And we're trying to make arrangements in our own way and trying to entangle ourselves, and we're suffering. But when you come to the point of recognizing God, begin to recognize God, at least in the way that, oh, God is supplying our necessities, God is giving our food. This is better than not recognizing God. That's what Prabhupada is trying to tell us. Others are just the opposite. They are called dushkritina, impious. So there are people who don't recognize God at all. They are called dushkritina. So kriti means very meritorious. But the word dushkruti indicates that their energy is being misused to create havoc. Right? They have good merit, but that energy is being misused to create disaster in disaster everywhere. That is the point, right? They are very intelligent. They are having all the skills, but their good intelligence, good skills are all misused. Just like the man who invented atomic weapons, he has a brain, but it has been misused. Right? So many inventions in the modern day, especially the atomic weapons or hydrogen bombs, is meant for a constructive purpose. Basically, that's what was the intention. But what is happening now? It is being misused. Nations are using these atomic weapons, nuclear weapons to, become stronger nations and become very aggressive towards other countries and attack them. So he has created something that is dreadful. Create something that will ensure that man will no longer have to die. So Prabhupada is challenging. The scientists have created something which is actually accelerating death. But if you can invent something which will ensure that man will not die, that is the credit for you. Right? What is the use of creating something so that millions of people will die immediately? They will die today or tomorrow or after 100 years. So what have the scientists done? So basically, Prabhupada is trying to point out the misdirected way of our understanding, that we are very proud of our inventions and discoveries, but these inventions and discoveries and various comforts of life we're trying to create around us should solve the basic problems of our life. The basic problems of our life, Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita as 4. Birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Unless we solve these problems of life, no matter whatever inventions and discoveries and different various measures you're taking to counteract the different problems in life, is not a solution. Right? Because people anyway are going to die. Prabhupada says very nicely. So today or tomorrow they will die. So what is that you have invented to stop death? What is that you invented to stop disease is the challenge. So create something so that man will not die immediately, so that there will be no more disease, so that there will be no more old age. Then you have done something. Right? But the Dushkritinas never go to God. They never try to understand God. Therefore, their energy is misdirected. So, Prabhupada is trying to tell that there are Sukritinaha, or pious people, who recognize God, acknowledge God's creation around us, God's maintenance for every living entity. Whereas there is a class of people who are called miscreants, who never recognize the arrangements of God, and the good sense, the intelligence which Krishna has given them is being misused or misdirected, unfortunately. So now Prabhupada starts describing about the 4 types of miscreants. They're called Dushkritinas, who never go to Krishna. Why they don't, and who are they? It's classified in the Bhagavad Gita. The first type of miscreant is called Mudhas, or gross materialists. The gross materialists who ignore their relationship with God are described in the Bhagavad Gita as Mudhas. Actually, all of us are eternally related to Krishna. That is our identity. Our real identity is what? We are eternally part and parcels of Krishna. This is what Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says. Mamayevamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. We are eternally connected to Krishna. But this eternal connection is being now forgotten. Or rather it is, we are misidentifying ourselves as something else. Basically as bodies, or belonging to a specific place where we are born, or with a family, with a community. All those identifications are incidental only. Once your body changes, then all those identifications also change. So, the gross materialists or the mudhas, they ignore their relationship with God, and they're described as mudhas. And because of this, they are working very hard to maintain their different situations. Mudha means ass, donkey. Those who are working very, very hard to earn money are compared to the donkey. This is a very classic example given in the Bhagavad Gita, wherein the present day population, you see, they're working very hard, day and night. For what? Earning money. And what for they are working? They are trying to earn money to maintain themselves and the family, or a bigger family called, community, society, or a country. We all have to work hard, which means they have forgotten their real identity and going on working hard for something else, which is actually they are not. That is the problem. So that's why they are compared to asses. Asses means donkey takes loads, tons of laundry on its back. For what? For a morsel of grass. The grass is easily available anywhere. But he thinks, without my working hard, I'll not get this grass. That is the meaning of mudha. Mudha means, not very intelligent. They will eat the same 4 chapatis daily, but they are unnecessarily working to earn thousands of dollars. You earn lakhs of rupees or crores of rupees doesn't mean you'll eat a lot of food. No. Your eating food is same quantity as you're, having a meager income, or when you get too much money, you'll not eat more that time. Is the point. The next category of miscreants, or people who don't surrender to Krishna, are called as Naradhama, the lowest of mankind. And others are described as Naradhama. Naradhama means the lowest of mankind. The human form of life is meant for God realization. It is a right of man to try to realize God. Right? Human life, we have come through the evolutionary process of evolving through many species of life and come to this stage of realization. But if we don't realize this, that we have got this position for understanding the purpose of our life, knowing the meaning of our life, to realize myself as spirit, soul, I am part and parcel of Krishna, come to the point of God realization, but do so many other things, which means I have degraded myself from the standard of humans. So it's called Nara Adhama. Nara means human. Adhama means lowest. We are supposed to be Nara Uttama, the best of the humans. But we have become lowest of the humans. Which means the purpose for which the human life is meant for is not being used for that purpose. One who understands Brahman, God, is a Brahmana, not others. So that is the duty of this human form of life, to understand Brahman. But we are not doing that, doing something else. In every human society, there is some system that is called religion, and by which one may try to understand God. Right? Religion is a process by which you try to understand God, what is my relationship with God, and how to know the purpose of my life that does liberate from this world by following the process. So this is what the system of religion is meant for. It doesn't matter whether it is the Christian religion, the Mohammedan religion, or the Hindu religion. It doesn't matter. Which denomination or which faith you're following hardly matters, because all the different religions speak the same truth, to love God. The system is to understand God and our relationship with Him. That's all. Any religion, if you carefully analyze, they're speaking the same principles. To understand God and our relationship with God. That's all. That this is the duty of the human beings. And if this duty is ignored in human society, then it is animal society. See how nicely Prabhupada has explained. The duty of the human being is to understand his relationship with God and understand that this is how I'm supposed to connect myself in the human form of life in relation with God. But not understanding this, neglecting his duty, ignoring this duty, he degrades himself. Then he is no better than an animal. He's not human. Animals have no power to understand what is God and their relationship with God. Animals lack the power to understand God and their relationship. Their only interests are eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. This is the main, you can say, the purpose of this. Animals, right? Any other beasts, you say. They're busy only this eating, sleeping, and mating and defending. If we are only concerned with these things, then we are animals. We degrade as humans. Our position as humans is not justified. Why? We got the human form of life. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita says that those who ignore this opportunity are the lowest of mankind. Just see how nicely Bhagavad Gita is analyzing and telling. The human form of life we have got for a specific purpose, and we are not using it for that purpose. Utilizing it for the animal propensities. That's why you have degraded yourself, the lowest of the mankind. Just like a highly placed officer, he has some responsibilities, right? When you are in a position in society with regard to some responsibility, a lot of expectations are there. But if you don't execute those responsibilities properly, then you're not fit to be in that position. Right? So, human form of life is meant to execute the purpose of life, to realize God and have a life in relation with God and perfect our life with regard to liberating ourselves. If this purpose is not taken care, not fulfilled, then our human life is it's like we are wasting this human form of life. It's very rarely we have got this human life after evolution to so many species of life. It is the point which Prabhupada is trying to tell us. That's why they're called Naradhama, or lowest of the mankind. They got this human form of life after evolving through 84 lakh births and yet did not utilize it for God realization, but simply for the animal propensities. Therefore, they are Naradhamas, the lowest of mankind. Right? Even though they may advertise themselves as very sophisticated, very cultured, civilized, but the purpose of life is lacking. Right? As we see, these Naradhamas are again one category higher than Mudas with regard to their degradation. Mudas, at least they will be little God-fearing. And of course, they have misidentified themselves as body and they're going on working hard. But once in a while, they would try to do some type of a religious practices. Not that seriously, but just as a matter of formality. But these Naradhamas are such that even though they pose themselves as very sophisticated, very advanced, very cultured, but the basic purpose of life with regard to why we are here, what we are supposed to be doing is completely forgotten. Right? You can say they're advanced version of the Mudas, Naradhamas. And the next category, Krishna says, is people whose knowledge has been stolen by illusion. And there are other persons who are very proud of their knowledge, right? Like scientists. They are very great poets, thinkers, philosophers. They consider themselves to be so much advanced in understanding that what is this Bhagavad Gita talking? I don't know. I don't regard that. Basically, their knowledge, real understanding of who they are, their actual identity is being, covered. As Bhagavad Gita says, Maya aparita jnana. The real knowledge is stolen by illusion. Our real knowledge is what? Real knowledge is that we are part and parcel of God, part and parcel of Krishna. This real knowledge is being taken away and replaced with something else which is not actually fact. So all these great personalities who are considered to be leaders in society, like philosophers, thinkers, or scientists, they are missing this point of the purpose of life, right? They are called, they are the category of people whose knowledge has been stolen by illusion, third category. And but what is that knowledge? They say there is no God, I am God. Just like the scientists and the different types of so-called thinkers, they're telling, no God, we are all God. So that's understanding. Their actual knowledge has been taken away by Maya, illusion. If they are God, then how have they become dog? Very nicely Prabhupada says. So there are so many arguments against them, but they simply defy God. Right? Many arguments, even if you put arguments before them and trying to logically, scientifically, reasonably present things, they simply deny God's existence. They have their own adamant way of, or arrogant way of putting things in their own way. They have got some type of a, you can say, brainwashing. Because the real knowledge has been taken away by illusion. And the fourth class of Dushkritina or miscreants is called atheists, asuric or demoniac, Gnostic. Because they have taken to the process of atheism, their actual knowledge is stolen away. This is what is, we can say, is happening with the different sections of society. Actual knowledge means to know what is God and our relationship with God. This is actual knowledge. Anything other than this understanding is ignorance, is the science. Right? Real knowledge means to know God and our relationship with God. That there is a creator and we have an eternal relationship with that creator. This is called meditation. This is called self-realization. Right? So this is not there. Anything else you do is simply, it is illusion. If one does not know this, then it should be understood that his knowledge has been taken away by Maya. The real understanding is covered. So now next Prabhupada is going to explain. These people are claiming that we are God and we are better than God, or God is dead. What is the use of going to God? But if you carefully analyze the difference between God and we tiny living entities, the facts will be obviously clear. What is our real situation? So in this way, if you try to understand the relationship with God, there are ways and means. And just now we understood about the two classes of people. One class is called Sukritina, the pious people who understand God or who acknowledge God's presence and see that God is maintaining us, God is taking care of us, protecting us. There's one more class of people called Dushkritina or miscreants who never recognize God, who use their intelligence in a wrong way. They have been misdirected, misguided, thinking that I am this body, I have to work hard in this body, earn money for enjoyment, and I have to create big civilization, totally forgetting the real purpose of life. And there are much, further illusion people where the real understanding has been completely taken away and they are working in a much highly intellectual way, but their knowledge has been completely taken away by illusion, Maya. And they are openly, and some are declaring openly that there is no God. Right? So there are two classes of people which we understood. But if we try to understand our relationship with God in a more sober way, with different ways and means, as Prabhupada explains now. Like we refer the books of wisdom, and there is knowledge. So why not take advantage of them? Everyone should take advantage of this knowledge. Vedic literatures or the different religious scriptures across the world is trying to give this knowledge to us. That is the purpose of this Vedic knowledge. Or any book of knowledge of wisdom with regard to religion is meant for this purpose. Try to understand that in the Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literatures everywhere, it is said that God is great. And although we are qualitatively one with God, we are minute. Very important revelation, which is mentioned in the Vedic scriptures, especially Bhagavad Gita. That yes, we are also God, but we are tiny gods. This is a nice concept Prabhupada bringing here. Qualitatively, we are same, God and we living entities. But quantitatively, we are different. Right? Quality-wise, same. Quantity-wise, completely different. How it is so? Prabhupada explains the nice example. The ocean and the minute particle of water have the same quality. But the quantity of salt in the drop of water and the quantity of salt in the ocean are different. Right? A drop of ocean water has all the chemical properties, same chemical composition, whereas with the compared to the ocean water, but a drop of ocean water is only a drop, very minute, small, minuscule, whereas ocean water is vast, huge. The quantity of chemicals in that vast ocean is immeasurable, right? It's beyond our understanding. So they are qualitatively one, but quantitatively different. Similarly, God is all powerful and we have some power. In the many pastimes of Lord Krishna, he lifting a big Govardhana hill. For us to lift even maybe our luggage of 20, 30 kilos will be difficult. We need to have a trolley wheel or somebody helping us to lift our luggage. Krishna is lifting a huge hill not for few minutes, for 7 continuous days. The two on his left hand little finger. It only shows God is all powerful and we have power but minute. God creates everything and we can create a small machine to fly, just like the small machines with which children play. So Krishna, God can create huge planets. They're all floating in the sky. And we create machines like aeroplane or rocket, which are like toys from the estimation of God. But God can create millions of planets flying in the air. That is the qualification of God. Right? We are very proud of creating huge spaceships or big aeroplanes. But if you just analyze how in the in the creation, what we see, whatever we can see, experience, is there are millions of planets floating in the sky. This is what God's creation is. You cannot create any planets. Even if you can create a planet, what is the benefit of that? Prabhupada is challenging. Right? There are millions of planets created by God, but you also have the creative power. Our creative power is limited, right? We also have creative power, but our creative power is very limited. God has power and you have power, but his is so great that yours cannot compare to it. So this is what we are supposed to analyze and come to the conclusion. I am a minute spirit spark having limited powers, very minuscule powers. As Prabhupada says, infinitesimal. God is infinite, but infinitesimal. So God has power and you have power, but his is so great that and yours cannot compare to it. If you say, I am God, that is foolishness. You can claim that you are God, but what acts have you performed so extraordinary that you can claim that you are God? That is ignorance. Right? Nowadays, it has become a common sort of a understanding with modern educated people. I am God. Everybody is God. But God's position, God's way of functioning is extraordinary. What is that one feat you have done which is extraordinary? Is what we have to understand, or we have to really get into details. Just like we have just now given the example of understood the example of God has created huge planets floating in the sky. You have created some machine which is just floating there too with a lot of problems, difficulties. Anytime, anything can happen. It can crash anytime. And you're proud of it. This is what, Prabhupada is challenging. This is because of our ignorance. And that machine also, what we are created, we say we are created, it's not our creation. It's Krishna's intelligence. Lord has given us intelligence. That's why you could create them. This knowledge of one who thinks himself God has been taken away by the spell of Maya. This is the third category of the miscreants, Dushkritina. Prabhupada is saying to elaborate on it. Right? That knowledge which one thinks himself God is actually his real knowledge has been taken away. I am actually servant of God, but I'm thinking I am God. That is wrong. So our relationship is that God is great and we are minute. This is the actual understanding or proper knowledge to which we have to come to. That God is great and we are minute. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna clearly says, all living entities are my parts and parcels. Qualitatively, they are one with me, but quantitatively, they are different. Very important understanding Krishna gives. All living entities are my parts and parcels, Krishna says. Right? Which means we are all, eternally connected to Krishna so intimately that just like these hands and legs are my part and parcel of my body. Part and parcel means they are meant to serve this body in a cooperative way. Similarly, we being part and parcel of Krishna, we are supposed to serve Krishna. Is the meaning of part and parcel. All living entities are part and parcels. Mamaye vamsho jiva loke. Qualitatively, they are one with me, but quantitatively, they are different. It's like we understood about the quantitative and qualitative aspect. Right? So, we are simultaneously one with and different from God. That is our relationship. Qualitatively same, and quantity-wise, we are very minute. This is our actual relationship. So, we have a relationship. We are one because we have the same qualities as God. Right? Spiritually, we are all one. Krishna, and we are all spiritual. But if we study ourselves minutely, we'll find that although we have some great qualities, God has them all in greater quantities. This is the point. Our intelligence is limited to creating one aeroplane or one spaceship, but God can create huge planets, creating huge, multitudes of universes, galaxies. That is God's power. Right? So when you come to this understanding of what is my position, what is God's position, God is great, I am minute, then what should I do as a living entity? What is the duty of the living entity? We cannot have anything that is not in God. That is not possible. It's a very wonderful understanding. Right? If you think that there's something other than God existing, that is wrong. Everything is in God's creation only, whatever is there. It's like when you say it is, 1 lakh rupee. In 1 lakh rupee, there is 10,000 also, 100 rupees also, 1 rupee also. Right? That way. So, God's creation means everything is existing. Everything what you see around is God's creation only. This is a statement of Vedas. Sarvam khalo idam brahma. Whatever we see around us is the creation of God only. Therefore, in the Vedanta Sutra, it is said that everything that we have is also found in God. It is emanating from God. God is the source of every energy, every manifestation, what we experience or is beyond our experience, what we know, what we don't know, everything is God's creation. So relationship is that because we are small, because we are minute, we are the eternal servitors of God. So very nicely Prabhupada is analyzing that if we, with little careful consideration, if you see, our position is very minuscule, very minute, and God's position is great. right? So, and also, we are part and parcel of God eternally. It's like the different parts of the body are meant to serve the body. We, as eternal servants of Krishna, are meant to serve Krishna. That is the conclusion. So, relationship is that because we are small, because we are minute, the eternal servitors of Krishna. Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Uh, In this material world also, in ordinary behavior, we see that a man goes to serve another man because the other man is greater than him and can pay him a nice salary, right? The material world, what we see around us, right? Because I lack something, I want something, so I go to somebody who has some better facilities, or whether he can help me, support me for my necessities. We want to go and offer service so that I can get supported and I can go on in my life, right? So naturally, the conclusion is that if we are small, our duty is to serve God. We have no other business. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jivera Swarupa Nitya Krishna Das. Our real identity is that we are eternally servants of Krishna. So we are all different parts and parcels of the original entity. Just like these different parts of the body are meant to serve the body, we are all different parts of the part and parcels of the original entity, supposed to serve Krishna. So how to revive that relationship with Krishna is the next point. It's so nicely Prabhupada is, very logically coming to the point. So our duty is to serve Krishna. And how to come to that point of serving Krishna or reviving a relationship with Krishna? A screw that is connected with a machine is valuable because it is working with the whole machine. A very simple example Prabhupada is giving. A big machine. It's having so many components in it. Maybe a screw, because it's connected to the whole machine. So that screw has that value because it's connected to the machine. As long as it's connected to the machine. And if the screw is taken away from the machine, or if it is faulty, it is worthless. And as soon as that one part of the machine is just is thrown somewhere, it has no value on its own. You cannot use it for anything else. It's like my finger is worth millions of dollars as long as it is attached to this body and is serving the body. Right? My bodily parts are all very valuable for him or for me. Something happens, I rush to the hospital, I rush to the for medical treatment, because nothing should go wrong. It is part of my body, very much close to my body, which is very close to me, right? But the same finger, if it is cut off from this body, it is worth nothing. Finger is cut off and thrown somewhere. Nobody bothers about it. Similarly, our relationship is that we are very small particles of God. Therefore, our duty is to dovetail our energies with Him and cooperate with Him. That is our relationship. Right? So how to revive a relationship? Because we are part and parcel of Krishna. Our duty is to engage our energies in service of Krishna. Because these energies are His only. And cooperate with Him. That is for our good. Otherwise, we are worthless. We are cut off. When the finger becomes useless, the doctor says, oh, amputate this finger. Otherwise, the body will be poisoned. Right? Many times there are some ailments, some diseases wherein if there's some problem with the leg or some fingers or hand, doctor says, better we cut off this part from your body, because keeping that part within you or with you will only further aggravate the situation. It may, the contamination, the poison may spread everywhere. So likewise, there is example Prabhupada is giving us here, right? We ourselves will become worthless if we cut off from Krishna's connection. Right? So that's what has happened for all of us in this material world. We are simply going on in this material world, taking different species of life, different bodies, and wandering here and there. Similarly, when we become godless, we are cut off from our relationship with God and suffer in this material world. This is the reason why we are suffering here. Because we have disconnected ourselves from God, our relationship with Krishna. We become godless. Even though Krishna is sitting in our heart as Paramatma, He is managing and providing everything for you. We don't even realize this. We are thinking as though I don't have nothing to do with Krishna. I have no relationship with Krishna. This is the understanding we are going through, unfortunately. If you try to join again with the Supreme Lord, then our relationship is revived. So our whole effort in this human form of life should be to revive that relationship with Krishna. Relationship is there, but right now it is forgotten. A very nice example Prabhupada gives is that a child who has gone away from the parents, somehow is reconnected, then he regains his original glory of being with the family. So we are all originally belonging to God's family. That is being forgotten now. That relationship has to be revived. And the easiest process to revive that relationship is by chanting the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the whole purpose of this talk which Prabhupada is trying to give us here. So somehow join with Supreme Lord, our relationship is revived. So with this, we come to the conclusion of this topic known as knowing the purpose of life. So if anybody has anything to ask, any clarifications, any comments, you can just mention in the comment box, as today's session is happening live on the YouTube. So you can just pass your comments. We'll respond to your comments as soon as possible. Thank you, everybody. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.